the Bearcast system. Our alternate to this channel, Bear Independent, is Patreon, patreon.com. Search for Bear Independent. There's a link in the description everywhere. Yes, it's $5 per month. No, I'm not robbing you of your money. Yes, it's excellent content. Our contingency is our alternate channel on YouTube, Blue Collar President. Blue Collar President on YouTube. Our emergency is bearindependent.com. Sign up for the email news blast and we will contact you via email. Primary, Bear Independent here on YouTube. Alternate, Patreon, Bear Independent. Contingency, Blue Collar President on YouTube. Emergency, bearindependent.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Is everybody tracking? Good morning, Mass Preppa. I always see Mass Preppa and Dragon Shield. That's because Dragon Shield's stalking me. So now that we've discussed our bump plan here, what's the primary? You're on it right now. What's the alternate? Patreon. What's the contingency? Blue Collar President. What's the emergency? Email list at bearindependent.com. Now that we have that out of the way, we're going to talk about our garden this morning, in the lovely garden that we're in. Hang with me, hang with me. We're going to talk about our garden this morning because do not become decisively engaged with an enemy that you cannot overtake, right? Copy that. So, there's some interesting things going on over here. Walk with me, Bear Nation. Walk with me. Walk with me. So, these right here are squash plants. I'm sorry, these are cucumber plants. They've got these bugs that are trying to eat them up right here. That hopefully we killed yesterday. They're little squash bugs. And that's interesting because there's certain gardeners right now in the US that are trying to squash a certain thing that 9 of the best gardeners in the country, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Some of them, they call them the supreme gardeners in the country, issued a brief that was leaked, and it's got a lot of the other gardeners really pissed off right now. And a lot of people are thinking that the reason that this was done, that this gardening plan that they had that was leaked, the reason that they leaked that was because there's a certain subset of the political spectrum of gardeners across the country that they wanted to mobilize to shift the perspective and gain a mandate. A mandate, you know, when 2 dudes go on a date, gain a social mandate from all the other gardeners out there in the country for political action to sway the opinions of these supreme gardeners. I think it's that because this particular gardening statute that was instituted in 1979 that a bunch of these extremist gardeners over here on this end of the spectrum are concerned about, there's actually there's no constitutional right to that type of gardening, which is why the decision that was made in 1979 is so important to them. And rather now what these supreme gardeners are saying is that they want, they would rather that be like a states' rights gardening issue. And I think that constitutionally makes a lot of sense. Biblically, still not a fan, but constitutionally makes a lot of sense. But I think the deeper reason that this gardening plan was leaked is because you don't just run an op. You don't just do a thing, you build up to a thing And after a year or so of these extreme gardeners, I'm talking like guerrilla gardeners, you know what I mean? Have you ever heard of guerrilla gardening? And I don't mean like big apes, I mean like chunka guerrilla gardeners, you know what I mean? I think that these guerrilla gardeners on the one far end of the political spectrum, they've been inactive for a year, and you don't just stand your unit back up and go do a thing, right? You gotta practice, you gotta rehearse, you gotta do the things, right? And so I think that this is part of what's going on at the upper echelons. Good morning, Andrew Barnes, love you, bro. At the upper echelons, that's what's going on there, is that the leadership understands that we got to have some dress rehearsals before the big show. We got to have some scrimmages before the big game. So that's what they're doing. And of course, what better issues comes up, you know, every election cycle, if not every other election cycle, when we're picking the lead gardener. So it's an easy win, right? It's easy to spin up the base. Now, I wanted to show you my potato towers over here, because when they started, and of course, if you're on Patreon, you know how we made these and all that and blah, blah, blah. When they started, they were this high. But as you can see, they've collapsed to here. They've collapsed. The potato towers are collapsing. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about potato towers this morning, as far as the collapse of the potato towers is concerned. See, the reason they collapsed like that is because they're under a lot of pressure. And so one might ask, what type of pressures would a potato tower be under? Well, a lot of socioeconomic pressures, believe it or not, and some of the chief gardeners made way too many potatoes. Way too many potatoes. And so therefore, because of basic rule of economics is scarcity breeds value, so the inverse is true as well. If there's a lot of something, it's not terribly valuable, right? And so there's a lot of indicators from people who are way better at gardening than I am that potatoes are going to continue to lose their value. Right now, potato inflation seems to be actualized somewhere around 17%. And that's a bit of an issue, because you actually are losing potatoes by keeping your potatoes in your potato tower right now. So what I'm encouraging people to do is go ahead and pull your potatoes out of the potato tower and use them. You know, can them up, make potato chips out of them, whatever you need to do with your potatoes, go ahead and pull them out and use those potatoes now, because they're actually losing value by being in the potato tower currently. There's a lot of indicators with that as well. Successful potato gardening is going to require that we have a good flow of goods and services across multinational borders. And that, because of a particular pest that was going around for the last 2 years with gardening, that's been a major issue as far as the flow of goods and services across borders. So that has decreased the value of potatoes and is making it more difficult currently for you to trade potatoes for whatever you guys are starting to catch on in the comments. I love you all, Bear Nation. Now is the time to trade potatoes for things that one might want, because all the potato indicators are pretty bad. Speaking of a national North American gardening report, there's a lot of drought in between the mountain ranges, right? In the breadbasket of the country, there's a lot of drought. Bad fires already. Fire season's already kicking off. A lot of people who should be planting corn right now were unable to plant corn right now because of how wet the soil is and how cold the soil is. A lot of people who should have been planting wheat already have been unable to plant wheat. That's going to further exacerbate the supply chain issues with gardening across the country and therefore the world. So trade your potatoes for the things that you can trade them for now while you can. And also, literally and figuratively, plant potatoes right now while you can. Potatoes are the caloric king of the garden, right? Root vegetables, rutabagas, turnips, potatoes, carrots, to a lesser extent, things like onions and garlic and all of that. That's a big deal because that will keep you alive eating from your garden versus things like, for example, if we come over here and look, tasty yet low value individuals like these things right here. See this? See these salad greens right here? They're absolutely delicious. They're tremendous, believe it. But they have micronutrients and then not macronutrients. Now, I also wanted to briefly touch on, I saw somebody talking about fertilizer being an issue. Yes, let's talk about that because again, getting back to the devaluation of potatoes as well as the effective or ineffective flow of goods and services across borders, there's an issue right now with certain potato-loving countries that the availability of fertilizers being held back, which is going to affect the growing of potatoes here. Disregard the falling down barn full of crap. I've been needed to replace it for 4 years now. Which is why, again, we encourage you for small-scale agriculture. This is 50 tons of cow poo that I got from my cows. 50 tons of cow poo, which is going to be great for gardening because I'm not worried about whether or not other places are going to allow me to have fertilizer because I have plenty of fertilizer for my garden. And the cool thing about where the fertilizer comes from is I take meat that's alive and I feed it grass and they make more meat and poo in the process. And then I get to eat the meat with my potatoes from my garden with the salad greens. Say morning, cows. Moo. Oh, you don't want to talk now? Camera shy? There we go. So, yes. Fertilizer is an issue, but it's part, there we go. It's part of why I've been encouraging y'all for years and years and years to get independent of the big monoculture, monocropping conglomerates that control the flow of potatoes and grow your own damn potatoes, because that way the more inputs and outputs you control into your garden, the easier it is for you to garden. The easier it will be for you to garden when other people's gardens are collapsing and or not doing so well. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about with potatoes, with the potato towers right here. Potatoes can be used to make vodka, which of course, we're not gonna drink the vodka because temperance is a thing, right? Economics, that's right, Andrew Barnes. There's in this little building right here, that's one of our chicken coops. We have hens laying eggs right now in there. Actually, not quite yet. They will start shortly and you'll hear them cackling in the background. Now, potatoes can be used to make vodka. Vodka, of course, we don't drink because only bad people drink alcohol. That violates the rules of our garden, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we can use vodka to make, tinctures and natural remedies from all the things in the garden. There's a certain subset of the world's population that's a big fan of vodka. And yesterday was a really important day for them. And there were a lot of people concerned that because yesterday was a really important day for them, that they were gonna have a big party and act stupid. And they haven't had that big party or acted stupid yet. They didn't get all drunk on the vodka and do dumb things. Now, part of which has to do with, or at least the other vodka tincture experts have surmised that the lead dude over there in vodka land is old, which he is, and has some type of gut type cancer, which as a survivor of colon cancer right here, no, I don't need any clap hands. Nothing special happened. They cut part of my colon out and sewed me back up, right? Like, whatever. But it sucks. It hurts. It feels like garbage. So that's probably not helping him in his focus. But also there's, it's been alleged that he may have Parkinson's, which is interesting because it's also been alleged that a different type of potato elsewhere in, corporate America tater, red, white, and blue tater, also has been alleged has Parkinson's and or for sure dementia. It makes one wonder who exactly is in charge around here. Now, the vodka man is not nearly as inept as ice cream man. However, I don't know if he is 100% driving the bus. And there's been a lot of people that have surmised that he's actually not 100% driving the bus, but the vodka people are better at cloaking that, hiding that than we are. And the vodka people have a 100% state-run media. So, yeah. So that's something interesting, is that the big party that the vodka people were supposed to have yesterday at their neighbor's house. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Their neighbor's house, their friends next door. They were supposed to have a big party at their neighbor's house, their friends next door. They didn't have that party. They didn't show up to that party. But there's some other people that are super concerned that the vodka people are gonna have lots of parties at all their neighbors' houses. The one house that serves Swedish meatballs, they're concerned that there's going to be a big party at the Swedish meatball house. That's interesting because the Swedish meatball house just joined the biggest HOA on the block, or is actually trying to join the biggest homeowners association on the block right now. And that particular homeowners association, there's like one family in that HOA that where Ice Cream Man is the grandpa at that house, and that one family represents like 80% of the horsepower of the HOA, and that one family has made an agreement, a security agreement with the Swedish meatball house, but the Swedish meatball house hasn't officially been brought into the HOA yet, so they're not friends with everybody in the neighborhood yet, but that one Ice Cream Grandpa house they just made an agreement with. And that's interesting for me because the Swedish meatball house isn't terribly good at security. You know, they don't have any cameras, they don't have a guard dog, they don't have a fence, they're not very good at that stuff, right? And the vodka people house is could easily squash them. But the Swedish meatball house has a direct security agreement with Ice Cream Grandpa. That could be a potential inroad for direct involvement at the big party for Ice Cream Grandpa's family. And like it or not, most of us are in Ice Cream Grandpa's family. I don't like it either. So that was a very interesting development in the neighborhood HOA. You know, You know how I feel about HOAs and all of that. So, but something to keep an eye on. This is classic bear, sad world, but classic. Thanks, the bitter critter. Improvise, adapt, and overcome, right? So, by the way, if you want the unrestricted patreon.com, search for Bear Independent and or follow the link in the description down below. Yeah, this is also me on a half a cup of coffee. So good morning to you. Let's see some other interesting things that are going on around the world. Right here, you can see this is our pepper patch. Right here, pepper patch. Also, we have some dill in here, and there's asparagus planted in this bed. It's all in the process of coming up because this is all companion planting right here. You see in the pepper patch. See, we're starting to get some peppers going down here. And, oh, by the way, tactical rifleman. Yeah. If you're not friends with Carl and Emery, are you even a human being worth knowing? Come on. All right. So the pepper patch. Peppers are a key part of cuisine in major areas, and it's important that you grow peppers in your garden. They are a key part of cuisine in both Southeast Asia as well as South America. And so if you're interested in cuisine from Southeast Asia and or South America, recommend you grow some peppers for sure. So in Southeast Asia, they have like little Thai chilies, super hot little red thing. Well, it depends on how mature they are and what variety they are. They range from like not that bad to blow your face off the front of your head hot. But that's a big deal in Southeast Asia, those little red chili peppers. And there's the chili pepper people there, they're having an issue right now exporting their peppers. Good morning, NWA Prepper. They're having an issue exporting their chili peppers because they don't like it when anybody's sick at all, like zero. They have a zero sick people policy for exporting chili peppers. And as a result, somewhere around 20% of the shipping containers in the entire world are sitting at port right now, which is going to further exacerbate supply chains when it comes to chili peppers around the world. And so that's a pretty big deal. Getting back to take your potatoes out of the potato tower when you can. Go ahead and take your potatoes out of the potato tower when you can. Use them now while you can, because you might not be able to get any more chili peppers in the relatively near future. I unfortunately think that somewhere around Q3 of 2022, it's not going to matter how many potatoes you have. You're not going to be able to buy chili peppers, okay? And that's an issue. So, Southeast Asia, chili peppers. Also in the Indo-Pacific, there's another culture that likes chili peppers too, and that would be Indian cuisine. You know, good curry, right? Absolutely love Indian food. Good Indian food. Bad Indian food, just put a diaper on for 3 days and rub some cream on your bunghole, because it's going to be terrible. So, Indian food. Speaking of Indian food, with a population of roughly 1 billion people and vast swaths of arable land and a lack of food production in the potato land and in the chili pepper land, Indian food is looking to be more and more popular in that region. And as a result, it looks as if the Indians should experience an increase in the value of their potatoes over the next, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years, but certainly pretty quick as well. In fact, they are ramping up the production of Indian food in that subcontinent because of the lack of potatoes and chili peppers in the region. There's also a bidding war going on in that area over some of this food because, you know, it requires a certain amount of inputs, resources for one's garden. And sometimes when resources get scarce, you might sneak across the fence to your neighbor's place and take some of their resources. I wouldn't recommend that, thou shalt not steal, but certain gardeners are fans of that. Yeah, Josh Connor, wake up, bro. So Southeastern Asia and Indian food, for sure, that's something to pay attention to. If I was an investor of potatoes, good morning, my love. If I was an investor of potatoes, I'd probably invest potatoes in Indian food right now, because I think there's going to be a big swell in the value of Indian food going forward. And then Southern American cuisine is also heavily dependent upon peppers, as I showed you in the pepper patch over here. And there's some really interesting developments there. There's a large movement of people who are fans of South American food relocating north of the Rio Grande River. And I think it's because it's such a lovely area right there. And there's a lot of unrestricted, the HOA rules in that area are unrestricted. And so it's very easy for those lovers of South American cuisine to relocate to that area currently. I mean, the HOA, in some cases, they don't even have a fence up around the neighborhood there. But in other places, they do have a fence up, but there's holes in the fence, and the HOA has been unable to come up with the funds or the will to repair the holes in the fence or to complete the fence around the neighborhood. And so in that particular neighborhood there, again, you guys know how I feel about HOAs. In that particular neighborhood, the head dude that governs the neighborhood right there, I think he lives on Texas Street. That guy, he is standing up and has been standing up a bunch of his own security dudes to try and fix the fence and to keep people out of his neighborhood. And that's been interesting because there's an even bigger HOA outside of him that said, remember Ice Cream Grandpa? Ice Cream Grandpa said, nope, you gotta let these people who love this South American cuisine move into your neighborhood. And the president of the HOA there said, nope, we're not doing it. And so there's some back and forth conflict here that's happening that becomes a question of whose rules do we need to follow here. But either way, the dude who's in charge of the relocation service, Mayorkas, I believe is his name, he doesn't have a problem with all these people who are fans of Southern cuisine moving into the neighborhood. But one of the general concerns of all these people moving into the neighborhood is we don't know what kind of people are moving into the neighborhood here. A lot of them seem to be like they could be violent or scary, or you know, we're also concerned that there's only so many jobs in this neighborhood. If all these people move in, are they going to take all the jobs? There's only so many houses in the neighborhood. Are they going to take all the houses? There's only so much food, so many resources in the neighborhood. Are they going to take up all these resources? What are we going to do? And also, are they going to pay their HOA dues, right? Are they going to pay their HOA dues? If they're not going to pay their HOA dues, then why do they get to live in the neighborhood, right? So that's an ongoing issue there. As far as that, the fence around the HOA is concerned. But the dude that lives on Texas Street is trying to do something about it. We're going to see if he can get anything done about it or not. But Ice Cream Grandpa really doesn't like it. And we'll see what happens with that. So there's a bunch of other things going on in the world of gardening. You know, maybe we'll talk about them another day. And yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update from the garden and, test the system. If you're interested in more gardening tips like this, patreon.com. You can click the link in the description down there. It'll get you the unadulterated gardening report without an issue. So check us out there. And also, thank you for the Academy. I said, Don, what's up, Juice Hefe? Also, thank you for supporting our small businesses, refugemedical.com. There's a handful of things in stock, like buckets are in stock, shipping fast. There's a handful of Bearfax in stock, a handful of SOB kits in stock, a few components back on the website. And so if it's been a hot minute since you policed refugemedical.com, your promo code is Bear Nation. Go check it out. We appreciate your support of our small businesses. 39 lives saved, by the way. 39 lives saved. After action report on life number 39 is incredible. I shared that on the gardening report from yesterday on Patreon. So I appreciate y'all. I've got to skedaddle today. I have a film crew in town for the next 3 days that we're going to be producing content for another gardening channel. And I will, of course, link to all of that on Patreon. Bless y'all, Bear Nation. Hey, remember, plant your gardens. Fear is of the enemy. Worry is a sin. Serve the Most High. Be the light. Don't sweat any of this stuff. Just stay busy in the garden. And I want to, A, thank y'all again, and B, point out that a strategy session that I had with my beautiful and talented helpmeet yesterday, my wise counsel, is this was her idea to do garden updates, and I think it's brilliant. So a little clap hand for the best wife on the face of the earth. It was her idea. So bless y'all. Have an awesome day.